I recognize the member from Beaches, East York.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And thank you to my colleague for getting everyone stirred up with your words. Thank you. So I'm here to talk about Bill 24, the Budget Measures Act, which is the budget implementation bill. And I am proud to represent beautiful Beaches, East York, always in this chamber, as well as the rest of Ontario. And this bill targets 19 statutes through various enactments and amendments. It authorizes $27 billion in new borrowing with a projected $14.6 billion deficit. It flatlines funding for healthcare, education, municipal affairs and housing, children, community and social services. Colleges and universities students have the lowest per student funding in Canada. That is not something to be proud of. What does that say to our youth? There's no income tax cut. There's no small business tax cut. And the budget mentions alcohol more times than it mentions affordability. And those are the good things, Madam Speaker. So now we'll talk about my favorite topic of all time, bike lanes, or rather keeping people alive on our streets. And so laid out in Schedule 9 of the Highway Traffic Act, this government explicitly awards itself the powers to remove bike lanes, whole or in part, and any related infrastructure, including the lanes on Bloor Street, University Avenue, Avenue Road, inclusive of Queen's Park East and West, basically Queen's Park Circle, and Yonge Street. Interesting that this includes the western section of Bloor, which is the Premier's commute. No correlation there. And this government is going through great lengths to spend hard-earned taxpayer dollars on interfering in municipal matters to remove already existing infrastructure that costs millions of dollars to install and is reported to cost close to $50 million to remove. What a waste. What a waste of Ontarians' hard-earned tax dollars. And I actually don't think any MPP came here to work as a member of provincial parliament, that their goal was to come here and meddle in municipal affairs. Many of us already had that role, and now we're here at the provincial level. Newsflash, you're not councillors or mayors. This government's obsession with removing municipal bike lanes is no small feat. This bill will be footed by provincial taxpayers. I don't know about you, but I'd rather my tax dollars be spent on healthcare, education, transit. The government might say that this is to help reduce the gridlock that Ontarians from outside of Toronto have to suffer when coming into the city, and therefore is beneficial to all Ontarians. But do not be fooled. Studies largely indicate that bike lanes do not cause or increase traffic. In fact, they are proven to ease congestion, and they increase business for local shops and safety. People shop, cars do not. They add to vibrant and lively streets. And it's proven time and time again all over the world. Actually, we had a group from Germany here last week, and they could not believe we were ripping out bike lanes. And they were gasping, why? And all I could say was, there are dinosaurs in charge right now. And I choose to bike here, and that is my prerogative. And I do my part for the health of the planet, for my own health, for the healthcare system. And by me biking here, that is one less car on the road. So you're welcome, all of you, and you can thank a cyclist for that. But if you do remove those bike lanes, I will guarantee you I will take that lane. I will take that lane, as is my right. And then we'll see how it goes with traffic. And every other cyclist will do the same. Now we'll move on to education. So Secord Public School, an amazing school in my riding, skipped over yet again for capital funding, despite being ranked 4th on the list in 2024-25. We also had St. Margaret's Catholic School from Scarborough, Guildwood, and the First Nations School from Toronto Danforth looking for renovations, rebuilds. But instead, last budget, this government picked a school that was last on the list and in a conservative-held riding. That's interesting. So Secord Public School has the largest and oldest portable system in the TDSB and is set to see an influx of tens of thousands of new residents without the space to welcome them. And there's no transparency on this process. The Main and Danforth corridor is a major mobility hub. It's a transit-oriented community. We need investment in the school there. We need investment in all schools. But in fact, no TDSB school is on the list this year for a rebuild or a renovation. Wow, the largest school board in Canada, and it is completely out of luck. Nice message you're sending for education there. Healthcare is next. Michael Garron Hospital is a fabulous institution, facility in beautiful Beaches, East York, skipped over yet again for capital funding. Serves 20 distinct neighborhoods and over 400,000 people. Second highest growth rate amongst hospital emergency departments in a greater Toronto region. Designed to only see 60,000 patients, but the emergency department sees over 100,000 and operates in surge capacity for 3/4 of the year, and the figure's set to get worse. It has a fabulous reputation as being a leader and incredibly innovative in delivering health care, including being a role model for vaccine delivery province-wide. But this government cannot even sign off on their Phase 2 renovation plan, a vital project for all of Ontario. What are you waiting for? Just sign the darn thing. The environment, I'm going to have to take a yoga breath right now over this one. I know you're allergic to the words climate change, climate emergency. You break out in hives, and we don't have defibrillators readily available for you. But emergency preparedness was mentioned only once. And very little mention of climate resilience, of course, the infrastructure, despite wildfire and flood statistics, despite you killing my Bill 56, which was flooding awareness, emergency preparedness, which could have helped your constituents. And the Financial Accountability Officer has warned us repeatedly of the high cost of inaction. The FAO projects that in the absence of adaptation climate emergency, these changing climate hazards will add over $4 billion per year over the century. And what are you doing about it? Nothing. Environment conservation and parks, spending increase, but no mention of species at risk, specific conservation efforts, and no expansion of green planning initiatives. Lack of meaningful and intentional programs outlined in the budget, plus the introduction of Bill 5. Whew, can't even go there. Bill 17 compounds to support belief that this government is moving towards a watered-down version of environmental protection. The arts, I guess I'll end on the arts because I'm running out of time, but there's so much to discuss about this disastrous budget. So we know with the Ontario Arts Council, for every dollar invested in the arts, an average of $25 in other revenue streams is generated. So I don't know, you guys claim to be fiscally responsible. Does that not twig in your head that maybe you should invest in the arts? You have the Bentway, a fabulous group, and you are uploading the Gardener. You think you might worry about the Bentway? Canada-Ireland Foundation is doing phenomenal work on the waterfront. They have money from the feds, from the City of Toronto, from the Government of Ireland, and what from the Province of Ontario? Zero. Zero. I encourage you to get down there and check out the phenomenal work they're doing. But all in all, I just have to say, Ontarians lose out with this budget. They're relying on you to help make their lives better. Double ODSP, deal with the landlord-tenant tribunal, deal with the backlog with autism programs, but instead, this budget is a big, fat disappointment.
I'll remind the members to make their comments through the Speaker, both in question and submissions and an answer. Questions? The Associate Minister of Energy Intensification.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the member for her contributions to debate this afternoon, and I want to especially just direct my question to the member for Beaches East York, and appreciated her passion as well. I know she talked about her perception that, that by adding more bike lanes, you actually somehow reduce congestion. So I'm asking two questions. First question would be, under that logic, would she support adding bike lanes onto the QEW? Number one, if it's going to reduce congestion. Number two, she talked about the arts, and she said there's nothing in here for the arts. Of course, I think she forgot to read about the $50 million for the McMichael Museum, the $35 million for the Shaw Centre, the $60 million for the Ontario Arts Centre. So I'm wondering if she thinks that, $140 million there is nothing.
Response?
Thank you very much, and I would like to thank the member across the way for his heckling and talking throughout my speech. And so, where should we start? Yes, there is. Sorry, I forgot to mention the investment in film and media. Thank you for that. And I'm not sure if that member has ever been on a bicycle, but basically, when I bike, I'm not driving. So if that's not logical to you that I'm taking a car off the road, and you say when you're sitting there in your car that you're stuck in traffic, you are traffic. You're one person in one vehicle.
Response?
So I don't know about you, but I want Ontarians to get home safely to their families, and bike lanes help me get home safely.
Questions? The member from Ottawa Centre. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you to the two members for the debate. To the member from Beaches East York, I also choose to cycle, probably about 99% of the time that I move around my neighborhood. I also have a car. It's quite a large car, as a matter of fact. I kind of like it, but it stays shiny in the garage because I keep it off of the road. I take transit, and I walk and I cycle. So I wonder if you could help me to consider, do you know of any other modern jurisdiction that is removing bike lanes from either their city or their province? Anywhere.
Member from Beaches East York.
Thank you very much. And to the member from Ottawa Centre, since you're new, you probably weren't here when last Parliament, I asked a question. Stegosaurus, Triceratops, raptors, and this Conservative government, what do they all have in common? And that is that they're dinosaurs. And that is their mentality of removing bike lanes in 2025. No, I do not know any other place on this entire planet that would be that backwards in their thinking to remove bike lanes. and that would not want their constituents to get home safely.
Response? Questions? The member from Ajax.
Thank you, Speaker. And the member from Scarborough-Guildwood's remarks, you're talking a lot about affordability and the struggles that people in her community are going through and people that in my community are going through. And I'm sure in many communities across the province, whether we're in an urban or a rural riding. So would something like taking the HST off of home heating and hydro, for example, do something to help her constituents? Would something like a middle income tax cut, help her constituents, or even small business owners who are really struggling to get by? Would a cut to the small business tax help the member from Scarborough-Guildwood and her constituents?
The member from Scarborough-Guildwood.
Thank you to the member from Ajax for that amazing question, and of course representing the people of Scarborough-Guildwood. As I said earlier, we were looking for support and help in this budget, and we were looking for actually keeping monies in our pocket to get us through the affordable crisis. And for our Liberal, Ontario Liberal Party, we know that we were supporting a tax cut for families of saving them $1,150 per year. That's real money that families can save for their children's education and also even save for their retirement, and can afford not just groceries but quality food that they can provide for their children. And, to the small businesses, yes, we brought forward a bill to cut the taxes and give the small business back $18,000 per year. This government in this budget gives zero tax cuts to these businesses and their families.
Questions? The Associate Minister of Energy Intensive Industry.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and appreciate again the opportunity to ask another question. Back to the member for Beaches East York, and I appreciate that the member is biker, and I respect that. And the member's logic about bike lanes was that if we add more bike lanes, we actually reduce congestion. I think you specifically said that. So my question is, very simply, do you believe we should add bike lanes to the Gardiner or the QEW? Yes or no?
A member from Beaches East York.
Thank you very much. Definitely not. I would not bike on a highway like that. I would like to bike on arterial roads within cities, like everyone else in world-class cities around the world does. And, this whole fallacy on moving, we're just going to move the cyclists to residential streets. Well, those are not direct routes. Why should I move on my bike, be a second-class citizen and move to a residential street when you're just sitting there in your car, moseying along, and you get the direct route and I got to hoof it around there? We can all share the road together. Just accept it. And cargo bikes with kids are out there. Tons of them.
Questions? The member from Mushkegowuk, James Bay.
Mushkegowuk, James Bay. It's all right. So my question is, I was listening, but we heard in the budget, and any of you can answer, that the government is cutting $42 million in firefighting. We remember the year that people in Toronto were complaining about the smoke. And we've talked about that last budget. They had cut already in the budget. And now in this budget, another $42 million. And they say, well, we got emergency funds. But this $42 million comes out of the base budget. That is cutting on boots on the ground for forest fires, on teams for forest fires. I'd like to hear your perspective.
Question?
On this, how this could affect forestry for that matter.
Member from Beaches East York.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for caring about our frontline workers. And my older brother, one of my older brothers, is a deputy fire chief. And so I hear from him firsthand about the risks that they take. And especially for forest fires, we need to be investing more in our forest fires workers. But in order to do that, you'd have to believe that we're in a climate emergency. And you'd have to read and listen to the stats and facts about how forest fires are growing every year all over the province, all over the country, and pay attention to the price tag of inaction and start preventatively,
Response?
which this government doesn't believe in doing anything preventatively. They just want to clean up their mess and any mess afterwards.